Just came back from a ride and figured, hey, why not take apart an XTR derailleur on one of my bikes and service it completely. So we are going to be servicing the clutch. We're going to be cleaning out the inside of the axle that connects the lower cage to the body, and we'll take apart the pulleys and the bearings inside them and re-grease them as well. This isn't a complex job. There's just a couple of details that you need to pay attention to, in particular when you go to remove the bottom cage from the body. It could be a little bit tricky, and you could actually pinch your fingers pretty bad if you're not paying attention. So let's go on to the tools that will be needed. As for tools, we are going to need a 2mm Allen wrench, a 3mm Allen wrench, and a 4mm Allen wrench. We will be needing a Phillips screwdriver. How they decided to put a Phillips screw on this stop bolt from separating the cage to the main body, I have no idea. Of all things, why not just put like a 4mm Allen? Anyway, we are going to need a flathead screwdriver. This is to separate the clutch from its holding pin. Either a tweezer or a very sharp, well, it's not sharp, but a very thin knife, or in this case, I might, if the tweezer doesn't work for me, I can't find my other tool, I'm just going to use this X-Acto knife and use the back part of it to actually remove the rubber seal from the bearings inside the drive cage. We will be needing Loctite, hub grease, so we could re-grease the clutch pin. So I'm using Shimano's hub grease. You could use any other hub grease, basically, like DT Swiss's would work as well. I just bought one of these, gonna last me for the rest of my life probably. And today we're gonna go with Cristal for the bearings, for the pulleys, basically. Well, for the bearings inside the pulleys, we'll just pack it with any kind of waterproof grease, basically, and you should be good to go. And I'm going to use gloves because I pretty much tore up my hands pretty good doing all sorts of trail maintenance a couple days ago, so these are going to help. So for starters, we are going to remove the clutch cover, and that needs a 2mm Allen. We got 3 bolts. 1, 2. Just working on a little project here. And 3. All right. Anyway, boy, man, these little guys are stiff. And come on, 2 and 3. Now, when we remove the cap, there will be a seal inside, and we want to carefully remove the seal as well. Okay, so there's our 3 screws, 1, 2, 3. We will put them on the side with the cap, and on the inside, if you notice over here, we have a small seal. And look, there's actually dirt on the inside, so we want to clean all that stuff. We don't want any of that to get onto our clutch. All right, so here's our clutch mechanism. What we can do is take it out. Basically, you just literally pull the whole thing out, one shot, just like that, right? And we will leave this on the side and fix him later, or clean him up later, right? So now we have the axle. So the axle connects the body to the back side of the cage, and as mentioned previously, the inside dirt manages to get on the inside, and it just becomes grindy, basically, right? Now this one should be pretty clean, but I'm sure there will be some kind of dirt on the inside. So, but before we could get to that, we need to remove this stop bolt and then unwind the drive cage all the way around so it could freely open up without zipping open and smashing a finger, right? So to do that, we need, of all things, I swear to God, I don't know how they thought about this, who made this decision, a Phillips. Why not just put... Now, make sure you got a good grip, like a really good grip, because this thing's constantly going to put a lot of tension on your hands. It wants to close up on you, right? And like I said, you could trap a finger pretty good. So, you take this guy out, right? Unscrew him. Be careful, don't strip him. And then We take the drive cage as you see it like this and just let it unwind all the way around. Ta-da! And now there's no tension on it. We can pretty much do what we want with it, right? So next step is to remove the axle bolt. We are going to need a 4mm Allen. So we're going to hold the cage with our hands, hold it nice and strong. Oops, wrong side. Right? Take the 4mm, it's going to be a little bit stiff, and just unscrew them. All right. There we go. Now be careful when you unscrew them. All right. Oh man, he's fresh. But why not? We got the grease. All right, so now we can separate the bottom of the cage from the top of the cage. If you look inside, look at all the dirt. Just think I clean this once a year. And within 1 year, look how much dirt managed to get inside here, right? And this particular bike, I don't really ride in the mud. I ride this in dry weather. I have another bike that I ride in the mud, other 2 bikes that I ride in the mud. So to give you an idea, these could get bad. If you leave them 2, 3, 4 years without them being serviced, you'd be amazed how much mud will collect inside, like how much dirt will collect inside. So we're gonna put this on the side, clean him later. And we're gonna put the body on the side. We're gonna put the stop pin on the side, and next we are going to work on the lower cage. So we have the 2 wheels over here, and as you can see, oops, we do not want to lose this guy. I will clean him and leave him for later. So we got the lower cage, we got your guide pulley, which is on top, and your tension pulley, which is on the bottom. Now these pulleys are directional. Technically this particular tension pulley, this isn't the stock one, I got this aftermarket one, and it worked out pretty good. This one technically, it doesn't have a direction, but stock SRAM or Shimano guide pulleys and tension pulleys do have directions, right? They're directional. So we are going to need a 3mm, where is it, Allen, and separate him, and then a 3mm for the bottom. What the? Oh, forgot. 2mm in my case. Yours is going to be a 3mm. You know what? Mine's a 2.5mm. It's not stock. It's not a stock pulley, basically. So let me go get the 2.5mm, and I'll be back. All right, I have my 2.5mm, and boy, man, I did a good job with the Loctite on this guy last time I put him together. He's stiff. He's in there good. Okay, so I'm going to take out my bottom bolt. In my case, I want to make sure that I have them separated. I want to use this one with the aftermarket pulley, or tension wheel in this case. So put him on the side here. Yeah, stand him up. Stand up, bonehead. There we go. All right, I'm going to take the wheel, put it on the side, and then I'll finish up the guide wheel and remove him. There we go. Put him on the side, all right, and ta-da! We are completely dismantled. Well, actually, there's one more part on the body. I'll get to it later. So we are totally dismantled over here. So what we need to do is start cleaning. Right now, typically, pulleys, they get real gunky on the inside, right? And it's actually hard to clean them when you're washing your bike. Basically, I use a grunge brush, and I wish it was smaller. Hey, the guys that make grunge brushes, if you watch this, make a smaller version of it where you could just easily put between the guide wheels and tension wheels. This, you got to scrape it. Basically, it gets all gunky. You got to scrape it off. Usually I'll do that when I clean the bike too, sometimes, right? Do both sides, scrape it off, all that dirt and grime. There we go. All right. And then we start wiping things down. That's one. Oop, well, got ahead of myself there. So that is one. And now let's do the other one. This one's actually pretty easy. That's why I sort of like it. It really doesn't gunk up that much whatsoever. The only thing is, I don't think they sell these anymore. So, see what I mean? How clean it gets where he stays. Although I got a whole bunch of gunk on the inside over here, that's not good, but we are going to take all that out and completely re-grease them. Okay. So let's take all this crap out of here. Keep it together with that one. I got that one, and all right. So let's clean the cage. Just get that out of the way. Make sure you clean the pin area. Back of it. There's the inner side. Now let's clean the outer side. Well, did you look at that? Huh? That's not good. All right. Cages are clean. Now let's start dismantling bearings. So we take the caps off. Alan, where are you? There we go. We got our two caps, and then we have our bearing. All right, so we have our pulley, in this case our tension pulley, and now what we want to do is take out the seal. And what you have to do on the seal on the bearing, so what you have to do is basically grab it on the side, stick something sharp, but use a blunt side, and then basically pick it up and the seal will come out. As you can see, I heavily grease these things every year, and that grease in 1 year has gotten pretty damn dark, to say the least, right? So wow. Okay, so now we want to do the same thing to the other side, basically, right? Actually, I can't see all that well. All right, and boom, you have both sides out, right? Now in this case, the bearings themselves aren't removable, so what I do is I put them in a little mini Tupperware with alcohol, or I use, you know what, I think I still have some brake cleaner, basically, and spray it out. If I have brake cleaner, I'm going to use this brake cleaner to spray it all out and clean it real well inside. If not, I just put a little bit of alcohol in a little round plastic Tupperware, and basically let them sit there, soak up a little bit, and then just keep on spitting them until it all cleans out on the inside. All right, so that's one of them. Then I clean these guys well, okay. So, and then I have the Shimano one. Shimano one, I took off the end caps. And again, we have our, right over here, the inner, this is the bearing, and we have the seal on it, and basically we need to hook up underneath. Could be a little bit tricky. Hook up underneath and pop it out. Oops, I just bent it in. Great job, Pete. Great job. Should have just stayed on the trail. There we go. Come on. It's okay. These are sort of metally. You could straighten them out if you bend them a little bit. It's not all that bad. It's not the end of the world. So you could easily flatten them out again. So again, now these guys will be removable. I will be able to remove these bearings, which makes it a little bit easier to clean the bearings, but be very careful when you clean them, when you remove them. Well, there it goes. So here's the axle, and you have a ring, and on this ring are a bunch of bearings. All those little silver dots are bearings, basically. All right, and that's what we are going to clean. The problem is half of them stayed inside the body. So let's move it out this way. There we go. All right, so now I have seal. Actually, it belongs to this one, and this belongs to this one. So I have my, these are the seals, and these are the bearings basically. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go clean them real well, and I will be back. All right, so this is what I was talking about, these little plastic Tupperware things. You get them for, I don't know, $3 for $1 at the dollar store. Basically, you put either alcohol. In this case, I actually did have leftover brake cleaner, and I just put inside, I just filled it up a little bit with brake cleaner basically, put these guys inside, let them soak for a little bit. All right, rub them around. All right, I will take out the seals, and then let's dry up the seals. Actually, make my life easier over here. So we'll just wipe them down real well. We'll remove. There we go. That's looking pretty clean. Seal number 1. It's amazing how well that brake cleaner works. All right. And we have seal number 2. This is for the guide pulley. Clean the inside. And he is clean. Oh yeah, you can read the letters and everything. So our 2 seals are clean. So now let's keep on rubbing our bearings in here. Da-da-da-da-da. All right, let's pull them up. Roll them around. Remember before you couldn't even see them. So again, now these things can't, these little balls could pop out of their sockets. They literally just pop into a socket, so be very careful that you don't lose them, because yeah, when they fall off, they bounce around everywhere. But you could tell how much cleaner it is, right? I mean, the stuff was filled with last year's grease that got really dirty over, who knows, on this bike probably a couple of thousand miles at least of riding. So I only do this once a year. Probably should do it more, but too lazy. All right, so that guy is looking real clean. So I'm going to put him on the side, and he is looking real clean as well. So much nicer using this brake fluid outside. You're gonna have to smell it. So then this we will take care of later. Then I have the other one. I can put the other one in here. Shake them around. Let's spin them. Back in there. Actually, if I do this, it moves the bearings. It spins the actual, look at that. If I hold on to the bearing and I just roll them around, it spins the whole, well, the whole bearing spins, so clean the grit from the inside. All right. Look how much cleaner that looks. Outstanding. Okay. Put him on the side. Him on this side. Seal number 1. Where's the other seal? Great. Where's the other seal? Come on. Are you stuck to my hand, my forearm? Oh yeah, look how much cleaner that is. It would be nice if we could find the other one. All right. There's one. where is the other one? Might as well put these guys in here. It's not in here, right? Let's clean the caps. Let's put both caps in here. All right. Hence why we wear gloves, is we'd tear up our hands right now if we didn't. Look how much cleaner that came out, spotless. Except I'm still missing a damn seal. What did I do with it? Tell me it didn't stick on my hand, and when I went inside to see if I had brake cleaner, it fell. All right. That takes care of that. Totally spotless. Look at that. You gotta love it. Nice and clean. That side. Okay. So on this side, I'll throw this guy in here. Clean him out real well. And where's the other damn seal? I still can't find it. What in God's name? Seriously. What the F? Looks tasty. Okay. Okay, that's crazy. Well, we'll throw this guy in here too. I'm seriously missing a seal. This is nuts. I bet you it's stuck to my forearm without realizing it when I put my arm down. All right, I'm gonna go look for a seal. 2 seconds. I will be back. I immediately found it. It was on the floor right next to me. All right, clean this guy. Oh yeah, looks good. Nice and clean. Done with this guy. Might as well clean the spring. Alright, let's get rid of this guy. Let's get a new one. Put him inside, spin him around real good. Not that it really matters, but for the spring. But since we got it all, why not clean it? Clean everything real well. Little spacer over here. Here come the jet skis like big fighters. That's what you're listening to in the background. All right, spacer is nice and clean. And everything is clean. Now, we have the shock body. This one's pretty clean. I'm gonna go inside and clean them out. Just get the rest of the grid out here so I could put a fresh coat of axle grease or axle fluid on this guy, right? So I will be back after I clean them. Actually, you know what? Let's do this. Get the axle over here. Oh, I need the 5mm. I will be back. Here we have the 5mm in order to remove the derailleur hanger bolt. And we'll give that a little bit of grease on the inside just to avoid any potential squeaking. All right, that's all it is. Put that here. Slide this guy out just like that. And now I will go inside and basically clean everything on the joints, on every joint especially. I'll try and get it as clean as I could. Now I'll be back. All right, so we cleaned the body and we cleaned it well. We got into every little nook and cranny. Wow, nook and cranny. What's with me in nook and cranny? We got into every little area in here and cleaned as much as we can. The most important part, in my opinion, is cleaning out all the joints, all the gunk that builds up in the joints, because, well, that's what allows the body to flex open and shut, basically, right? So the smoother it is, the easier it does it. So what we are going to do now is start assembling everything, right? So we have the derailleur hanger, extension bar, I would call it. I don't know, I'm sure there's a real name for it, but essentially we put this guy in here, right? And we have the bolt. And if you read on the bolt, it says 8 to 10 Newton meters. So we will need a torque wrench for this. You definitely want to get it within that mark. What I will do is put just a little bit of grease on this guy. Just a little film, don't go nuts. All right. So we'll thread him in just like so. Okay, then we'll grab our 5mm and spin them inside. And I forgot to bring out the torque wrench. Let me bring out the torque wrench 2 seconds. I got my torque wrench and the bolt says 8 to 10 Newton meters. I'm going to do it an even 9 right in the middle. So let's put it on here and just, there we go. 9.23. I went a little bit too much, but I'm not too worried about it. And the clouds are coming in at, woo, lightning, cool. So we got that guy on there, right? So now let's put him aside and we will assemble the lowers. Now let's start off with the guide pulley on top. So we have our axle. We're gonna put one set of bearings on one side. If you notice, there's a line down the middle. Basically, even though the bearings will skip over it, it's more of a guide to let you know how the bearings are divided. And we'll put one on the other side. All right, and then what I will do is coat these with a good amount of grease. All right. Now we will insert it into the pulley. Then we will take our clean, flattened out caps. The writing goes on top and the metal band goes on the bottom, basically. So, and you have to make sure that you pop this into place. You'll feel a little pop when it goes in, right? So I can't really explain that. There you go. See the way it popped in? Boom. We are good on that side. Where's the writing? Writing on the outside. Okay. And let's pop this guy in, and bottom needs to pop in. There we go. Now there should be a little bit of play in the axle, right? That's normal, basically, right? And now we have a freshly greased guide wheel. Put the outer caps on. All right. And we're good to go. Now, for the tension pulley, again, I cleaned them out real well on the inside, as you can see. I'm gonna fill him up with grease on the inside. Just tuck it in there real good. Not as easy as the other one, because I can't remove these. All right, just put a good amount of grease in them. Okay. There we go. Bake them in there. And actually, let me use the third one. Now we put our seals. Remember, letters on the outside. Make sure the seals have been flattened before you put them in, and again, they'll pop just like that. I don't know if that was visible, but And then we will put one on the outside. Where's the letters? Is that the letters? Yes. Wait a second. Yes, that is the letters. I gotta admit, this is an old guy. This is an old tension wheel. I've had it for a while. Probably should replace it next time. All right. And that's it. Let's just take a clean towel and clean all the grease on the outside. Really don't want grease on the outside because then dirt sticks to it basically. So it's not going to spin freely because there's grease, but it rolls real easy now. So let's put the caps back on now that they've been cleaned. One cap and two caps. Look at that. Now that rolls super, super smooth. All right. So now we are ready to put them back onto the lower cage. We're going to assemble the cage with the guide wheels, right? With guide and pulley wheel. So tension wheel goes on the bottom. Guide wheel goes on top, but again, this one is directional. If you notice, there is an arrow, right? So technically, it faces this way, since the chain is going to wrap around here and then come back over the cassette, right? So, oops. All right, nice and smooth. So, and then this guy aligns just like, where are you? Just like that, okay? So we are gonna need a little bit of Loctite. Just put them right on the edge. Don't need to go crazy with the Loctite. And we're gonna grab our 3mm. Where's our 3mm? 4mm, this gotta be the 3mm, right? Yes. You know what, 3mm is the top one, 2.5mm was the bottom, so I should have did it the other way around. Should have started with the bottom first, would have made my life easier. So let's do that. Leave this guy on the side, and we will start with this is the bottom. I was right, crying out loud. Oh man. Boy, it's getting dark. Come on, dummy. And this guy here, put this guy in here, put him through here, and screw him in. Oh great, would help if I actually had them aligned. And screw them in. All right, that is one. Now again, we said this is directional. We look at the arrow's pointing this way, which means since the body's on this side's going to be on the outside. All right. So we put them in there, spin them around, put a little bit of Loctite. But there's a big storm cloud right on top of me. There's rain at the other side of the lake, and yet on the west side it's completely sunny. That's heading my way. All right, so this is the 3mm. All right. It's 3 or 2, I forget. Whoa, 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 whoa. Didn't pay attention to that one, did I? Hold on. Come on, dummy, get up. Cap fell off. Now let's put them back on. Actually, just like that. And there's Loctite on it. All right, screw him down. the recommended torque specs are 2.5 to 5 Newton meters. I like doing them by hand, basically, where once I feel there's like tension, too much tension, I just turn it back by like a quarter, essentially, right? If not an eighth, right? I don't want these things to essentially get stuck together, right? So if you screw them, the more you screw them, the harder it gets, basically, right? So what I'll do is make it where I feel tension, and then I'll just slowly unscrew it until it's a little bit more free, right? So there's no real science. Again, they give you 2.5 Newton meters to 5 Newton meters, which is quite a bit. So, I mean, that feels pretty good right there, actually, for that one. In fact, I might unscrew just a little bit. All right, and the same for the bottom. The only thing is with the bottom, I'm gonna need a different one. So basically screw them. And loosen them up. Again, the Loctite should keep the bolt in there. There we go. He's actually rolling real nice. Okay, so now we're ready to assemble the body with the lower drive cage. So we have our spacer. We put our spacer flat side towards the drive cage. Okay, recessed side towards the body. So then we have our plastic cover. This is our protector for the spring. And we have our spring. We make sure he's clean. All right. There we go. And we have our spring. As for our spring, just put a little bit of lube just for corrosive purposes more than anything, right? I mean, there's no performance gain. This is literally just for protection, just a little bit. You don't have to go too crazy. So, okay. Now, if you look at the inside of the hub body, there's a notch, right? We take the straight part of the spring and we put it in the notch, just like that, okay? And then there's a notch inside the plastic washer over here, or not even a washer, more of a seal, right? And then we just slip it in just like that, okay? So then let's prep our axle. As for our axle, you want to make sure your axle is very, very clean. Very, very clean. Now, when it comes to lubing the axle, there's only one side of it that needs lube. The other side cannot have any lube whatsoever. The short side is where the clutch sits on. We're gonna use alcohol in this later. We do not want to get any kind of grease, lube, anything that's slippery on this thing, or else the clutch won't work. It's the inside, the long part over here, where we want to put some lube on. So, I mean some grease on. So just put a little bit there. Let me close this cap. There we go. Not exactly the smartest bottle. So we're smartest side to spread it around just like that. All right. Nice and lubed up. And then let's just stand them up on the side over here, okay? So we're gonna grab our lower cage and our body. Now, you have two notches over here, right? Let's say this is the bottom of the cage. We want the spring hook to align with the lower notch, basically, right? Or at least the lower hole over here, okay? So we basically put them in just like that. Make sure he lines up, and we are, do I have the right way? Nope, I don't have them the right way. Sorry. Not bad. Let's take them out. Yeah, actually I did have them the right way. What am I talking about? So we want them hook up, put it all together. So this way when we spin them around, we have tension, right? So right now we are ready to put in the axle. So make sure that where the threads that the axle ties onto is centered. Put in the axle. Grab your 4mm right here and screw him down lightly. You might have to wiggle him around so he could fit inside the, there we go, just threaded. Okay. Now this guy, torque specs are 8 to 10 Newton meters. I will put him at 8. I believe I'm already at 8. Why change it? So, but we got room to play basically. So hold on to the cage, take your torque wrench and bring him down to 8, 9, or 10, your pick. Shimano says 8 to 10. So So 8.04, good enough for me. Okay, so now this guy's all said and done. So now it's a question of spinning him around, right? So now we got to put the stopper. This guy's a little bit tricky. Grab the body with the palm, right? Stretch him out past this hole over here. What helps is a magnetic head for the Phillips bolt. So stupid, Phillips. And then we just take this guy and we screw him in. This guy doesn't need that much torque. I think it's 1 or 2 nanometers of torque, so just do it hand tight and you're good to go. As long as you have Loctite on him. And we are all set, right? So essentially he'll sit around there and get stretched out as you go to your lowest gears, basically. So that guy's all done. Now we need to finish up the clutch. What we will do is, let's start off with this guy first. Oh, great. Okay, so this is the clutch, and essentially, well, this clutch mechanism, you have a pin on the inside and you have the clutch over here that squeezes it when you tighten this bolt in order to make your cage more, or give your cage more tension. So to get the clutch pin out, we need a flathead and just tilt them just a little bit. This is actually pretty stiff, like real stiff. In fact, let's put this guy aside. Okay. This guy's a little bit stiff, but you get him out just like that. All right, so now what we want to do is clean him up real well. All right, so, and I mean to clean him up real well. Now, the best way, in my opinion, to do this, because I don't think you're supposed to put alcohol on the inside of this thing, is put alcohol on a towel or a rag. All right, just a little bit, let it soak up real well. And then just go around and clean him, just like that. Then you have the bearings on the inside. Make sure that these guys are cleaned out, just like that. But you don't want to put alcohol on the inside, is my understanding. I could be wrong with that one. If anybody knows if that's true or not, feel free to comment. Okay. So, now, we cannot, in any single which way or form, have grease on this pin or the inside of this clutch bearing, basically. The grease goes on the outside of the clutch bearing, right? So what we will do is clean this pin real well. A little bit of alcohol. Make sure that he is squeaky clean and there's no film on him whatsoever. Okay, so then let's clean the inside of this guy here and take whatever grime or grit that might be in there. Take him out. Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to put grease only on the outside of here. Not that much, just a film. Okay. Then we're going to just spread them around with our finger. And we make sure we don't get any on the inside of this bearing pin, or else we're hosed. All right, just like that. So now, let's put them on the side in a clean spot for now. Clean the fingers. Let's take our screwdriver, spread the retainer over here, right? So you're gonna have to give them a bit of a twist when you put them in, right? So, oops, crying out loud. Put them in a clean spot. Spread them just a little bit. There we go. And pop them in and center them. Okay? So now this guy is all set to go. Now we're gonna insert the clutch mechanism into the hub body, into the derailleur body, right? Now, there's a bit of a trick over here. One, you want to make sure that the clutch lever is on the full open position, unlocked, so all the way to the right. Now, this is nothing more than a cam, and if you notice, there's a notch over here. What we want is the notch to be on that side, right? So on the left side. So we insert this guy in here, and he will only work if you insert him this way, basically. Make sure that the thick part of the cam is on the outside, essentially, right? And then what we need to do is make sure that everything inserts as a whole. This is going to want to insert. It's a little bit tricky, but it's going to want to insert as a whole, and the tricky part is this guy here. You want him to align with that, right? So the only thing is everything has to fall in one shot, basically, is what it comes down to. So it might take you a few attempts over here. So, because believe it or not, tolerances are pretty tight. So it looks like I got this guy in, but this guy is not even. Nope, he is not. I gotta even him up. Come on. Still not even. Still not even. Come on, get in there. You know you want to go in. Come on. Don't overforce him. See if you notice. Come on. Get in there. Like I said, this part is a bit tricky. Sometimes he goes right in, and other times he might take you like a minute or two. Come on. Come on, get in there. Why are you being like that? Let's go. Oop, there we go. Oop, this guy popped out now. Great. Great, great, great. Like I said, you have to get them both in at the exact same time. Just make sure that thick part of the cam is on the outside, basically. Like I said, when he wants to go in, he'll just slip right in there. Come on. Come on. There we go. Done. Right? So we have the thick part of the cam. So essentially what happens is when you put the lever down, the cam squishes the clasp over here on the clutch, and basically it makes it real stiff, right? And then as you tighten the screw down even more, it makes it stiffer to a point where this thing won't even move. It will barely move. So we know that we're working right. We're inserted correctly, right? And that is installed, right? So next, let's clean.
Ooh, does that kid just fall?
Let's clean the seal. I'm surprised how dirty. I've never seen the seal so dirty before. There's a lot of grit on the inside. Okay, now the seal is formed and it only fits one way. Let's make sure we don't have any dirt on the inside of here. And actually, we don't. So the seal's obviously doing its job. Yeah, it's clean. So, as you see, he's formed. He could only fit in one way. Make sure we put him in all the way around. And he is seated. Put that aside. So then we have the cover. Check to see if the cover's dirty on the inside. Usually they're not. Usually. Let's get this guy out of here. All right, and clean the outside. All right. And then we cover this guy up. Align the holes. And then it's just a question of inserting the screws. All right, these are 2 millimeters. Where's my 2 mil? That is not my 2 mil. Where's my 2? There's my 2 mil. Bet you this said. Yep, 2 millimeter. So we take them, make sure that everything's flush, make sure that the seal is, see, there shouldn't be any spaces, right? as you see them down there. So let's make sure it's getting a little bit dark over here, but oh, this guy's seated down right. So take them and let's screw these guys in. Okay, screw the other one in. Screw this guy in. And these, you only need to torque them down like a nanometer, so just once they start getting a little bit of tension, just give them a little bit of a snug twist, just like that, and you're good to go. All right, so just when it bottoms out, just give it a bit of a twist, and you're good to go. One thing that I like to do as well at this stage is lube the pivot joints. So I use Tri-Flow Superior lubricator. Whether it's superior or not, I have no idea, but it works for my purposes. So let's plug this guy in here. All right, let's fill up the syringe. So we want to get every pin, right, wherever it connects the two bodies together. So for instance, that's the nice thing about doing it now, is that you could extend it and get it real much easier on everything, right? So we want to put it just a little bit, not all that much, on each and every one of these joints. So wherever there's a joint, you want to put it in. There should be, I believe, 6 joints altogether, if not 8, right? Just a little bit. Here's another one on this side. Oh shit, I'm not in the middle of the camera, sorry about that. So basically we want to get the joints, like I said, we get all the joints that connect the two bodies together, right? So we have another pin over here, which I got. Right, we had this one over there, which I already got. Unfortunately, it wasn't in a camera body. This could get a little bit stiff. Another one right in here. Again, you don't want to go too crazy. And we have these two guys over here. And that's 6. 1, 2, 3. Sorry, 8, not 6. And I already got that side. And the other side, I got them all 8. So just go back and forth now. Uh-oh, somebody's at my door. Okay. And just wipe off the remaining. And I gotta go get the door. And there you have it. We have a completely serviced rear derailleur cage. In this case, a Shimano XTR M9000. Same goes for XTs, same goes for 9100s. I don't think anything's changed on that one either. So you are ready to go. This is a quick job. It really isn't that hard of a job. It's just when you're filming stuff like this, it's amazing how much longer it takes. And I can't believe I went through a whole battery. I had to put a second battery in this camera. I swear these GoPros do not last. And I'm only recording in 1080 now, 24 frames per second. So hope you enjoyed it. Hope this helps you out. Like and subscribe. Put a comment if you have anything to add or subtract or correct. It would be much appreciated. All right, outside of that, have a great day. Take care.